Metal Jesus here, and I am back again with Kinsey.
And we're here today to do a Nintendo 64 buying guide covering the system, accessories, and games.
This is gonna be awesome. Let's take a look. To start off here, we want to mention that this guide is primarily for people who are just getting into collecting for the N64. So we're trying to cover all the bases here and make sure that you're, well informed on how to start collecting for this awesome console. And so we should probably start with the actual system itself.
So this is the Nintendo 64.
Yay!
Yay! And this is kind of the standard model. Like, this is the one I had growing up. This is probably what most people had. And it's pretty awesome. I mean, the top has its, like, normal power reset business, but it also has this memory expansion bay. That sounds cool.
So that one right there has the red expansion in it. Which is the 4 megabyte upgrade to the RAM. And what's interesting about the N64 is that that's a very important piece of this console if you're going to collect for it, because so many games support it.
Yeah, I think it's a definite must-have, because like it enhances a lot of games, like Pod Racer. It makes it look way nicer. And then there's some games like Donkey Kong 64 and Majora's Mask that you can't even play if you don't have one. Right,
and also other games may unlock different levels and things like that. So it's cool, although I would warn people that it's not rare, but they can be sort of hard to find because everybody who collects for the system wants one. And so, like for instance, with this one, I actually paid, I think, $20 more on top of the console just to make sure it had that.
Yeah.
Not a lot of money, but it's worth noting that you'll eventually want one.
Yeah, you will. And like, even if you just get one of the regular, for now, you're probably gonna be okay, but you're gonna want to play those games.
Yep, that's
you
true.
will. And then moving forward.
Yes.
This is one of like the only console of the time that had 4 controller ports, which was awesome. Nintendo knew what they were doing, because this was like the era of awesome couch co-op.
Absolutely. I know, it's so cool that they did this.
No multi-tap needed here. PlayStation, whatever. All right, and then on the bottom here...
That's right. So on the bottom is this mysterious expansion port. And for the longest time, people didn't know what that was for. And that's because they were working on a disk drive add-on that would go underneath it. So this right here, if you've been watching my channel, is unreleased US prototype. So it never actually came to the US. This does boot up with English. However, it did come out for a very short amount of time in Japan. And there were 10 titles released for it. So it's something I want to mention to people because it had a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, like that it was going to do online.
Yeah, I mean, it did in Japan. It had the RandNet.
Right,
I feel like I'm gonna mess every time I say it. I'm like, that's not a real word. But they had RandNet, and that was really cool because of games like, F-Zero that came out in Japan for the disk drive.
Right.
You could create your own levels and then upload them to the internet. This is crazy. It's like...
Yeah, no, it was very cool because, I mean, F-Zero X is a great game, and here is a program that you can basically make your own tracks. I mean, it's super cool. And there was also Mario Paint, and there's an animation one, and a bunch of stuff like that. So if you collect for the N64, it's important to know that this is out there. And the potential of it. Yeah,
and it's also like, it's such a cool collector's item if you have the Japanese disc drive, or I mean if you're this guy and you have the US one. But
I got lucky.
So it's really cool, and it's awesome that they actually use that port for something.
Exactly.
So it's cool.
So now getting back to the main system itself, we probably should talk about the video out. So tell me about that.
So on this, this one's a little bit different.
This one's a little bit, we'll get to that.
But I mean, you have your standard power gigantic brick that goes in there.
Yeah.
And then of course you have your AV out. And kind of depending on how you have your setup, like today, like I have mine going through an upscaler, so eventually it's going out and it's along the daisy chain, it's HDMI with added scan lines and like that. Like, it actually looks pretty good.
Right, but originally this was standard definition only. So if you just take a stock console and connect it to a modern television, it's not going to look very good.
No, especially if you get it all stretched out on the widescreen. No, don't do that.
Yeah. So this one right here, actually, I just want to mention is that this is an HDMI mod that's internal to this. And this is done by a friend of ours named Michael Smith, part of the Seattle retro gaming community.
Yeah.
He's really into this. And basically this has a board and chip in here that is actually taking raw game data and upscaling to true HD. I know. And so it's a really cool mod. Worth doing. All the footage in this video is actually captured directly from this. So it's something to consider. It's not a inexpensive mod. You can but you can get these on eBay, and if you're serious about collecting for the N64, you should definitely consider it.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
and one thing really cool about the N64 and its like infamous collector potential is all of the special editions that it had.
Oh, this is one of my favorite parts of the system because Nintendo went all out, because there's really only one model of it. You know, they may have changed the internals of it maybe a little bit as they revised it over the years. However, the standard look of it, there's just really one model, right?
Yeah.
So they made up for it in tons of like colors and stuff.
Yeah, they had the fantastic colors. And they kind of came out in a couple waves. And this one is actually a Japan only, which is like wave 2 or whatever, the one that we didn't get. So, but we did get this top color, this red. It's called Watermelon. It's beautiful. But then the Japanese ones, they also have the white on the bottom. So, I mean, that's a little telltale sign too if you're looking for, because this was like probably a lot cheaper than I would get the US like fantastic ones for. But it was so pretty, I had to get it.
That's so cool. That was also a thing at that time, because also like the Apple iMacs were around as well, and all these sort of see-through colored things was really cool.
It was so cool. I remember even seeing the iMacs and I was like, that's like my 64, I want it. Like, but like the fantastic ones, they came out in so many colors. One of the more common ones is the jungle green. So it's like a dark green. And then we'll get into this a little bit more when we show the controllers as well. But there's so many awesome colors. And then there's also another special edition.
Yeah.
And this is my favorite one. So this is the Pikachu edition, and this is the Japanese one. So I like the orange better, obviously.
Oh, because it's blue in the US. Okay.
Yeah, the US one is blue, and which is cool.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, I do like it a lot, but once I saw this one, I was like, that's the one. That's the one. Like,
you had to have it.
I had to have it, and it's beautiful.
Very cool. Anything else about the systems itself?
I think that's it.
Okay, well, let's check out some accessories and controllers. Okay, so the controller, I have to admit that when I first saw this controller, I was confused. I think a lot of people were, because Nintendo was really trying something incredibly new with this. I mean, and it's very obvious that they were trying to make a controller that would be good for standard traditional 2D games, but also 3D games. And so, I don't know, what did you think when you first saw this?
I loved it, but I was also 11. So I liked it because also it's like bright colors, it's fun, like it looks like a toy to me, at least it did.
Yeah.
So I was like, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And like they have this weird M shape going on. But I think what it's designed to be, so you can kind of hold it however you want.
And you're absolutely right. Is that, I mean, it's designed for left-handed people, right-handed people. It's designed for holding it on the outside, holding it on the inside. You hold it wrong.
I've never met anyone who holds it like I do, but
show everyone how you hold, because I think this is awesome.
So I mean, I hold, this is so far so good.
Right.
But I just hold this like a
almost like an Atari.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like an arcade stick. But I can still reach all this stuff with this. So.
Yeah, which again is the brilliance of this controller. To be honest, I've learned to appreciate it. It's still really weird for me to use it because I feel like every game is a little bit different, but maybe that's the brilliance of it, you know?
Yeah.
Now, the thing is though, is that this stick is easily broken or it gets soft and off center, right?
And it has kind of a silly history as well.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Silly.
Well, they can wear out really easily. As most people know, you'll get a new, like, controller. Well, not new. Used controller, and you're like, oh, that's pretty floppy.
It's one of the first things that people say whenever they go and buy a controller off Craigslist or whatever. You just kind of have to assume that you need to try it or, you know.
Yeah. So a lot of, like, Craigslist ads or, like, eBay ads will say tight stick, and that's what this is referring to. Not something else. But what's funny about this is, so when Mario Party came out, there was a lot of games where you have to like basically drill into the stick, you know, and it ruined the stick, but it also ruined your hand. And if you complained to Nintendo, they would send you a glove.
Really?
Yes.
Which is pretty awesome, let's be honest. That's funny.
It's pretty cool. I kind of wish I had one of those gloves. Because I definitely had some pretty messed up hands. You get a big blister right in the middle. If you've had it, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Interesting. That's cool.
And then with the controller, it also has a port on the back. And this is where the magic happens.
Yeah, they use this quite a bit in many different configurations.
Yeah, so this is where your memory card goes, or controller pack, with no C. It's not cool with a C.
I know, it's funny how they spell this stuff.
But so, and also the memory card kind of opens up a whole nother can of worms, is that not every game takes a memory card. It was kind of in a weird limbo of saving. Like, well, some games have batteries in them.
Right.
Some games you have to use a memory card. Some games you can do both.
Or some games might actually still have the password.
Yep, like N64 still has the password that you have to write down.
Yeah.
So it's kind of all over the place.
Well, it was a transition period for sure, right? And especially with cartridges, it did give them some flexibility, and they were smart about it. So you know,
it worked out.
Yeah.
One thing is though, there's only one slot, so you can have your memory card, or you can have your rumble pack. Whoop, yep. And this was actually so cool. And it, like, nowadays it sounds like everything's got rumble. It's not that big of a deal.
Right.
But when this shipped, I got mine packed with Star Fox 64.
Oh, that's right. They advertised that.
Yeah. It blew my mind. I don't know what it was. I'm like, I'm in a spaceship! Like,
this is so real!
Something about it was just so awesome. But yeah, you kind of had to choose memory card or rumble pack.
Weird.
Some third parties did find ways around that. You can buy, like, you know, kind of off-brand rumble pack memory card.
Look at this thing though. It's like it's starting to get big.
And you still haven't even plugged the memory card into that. So
that is hilarious.
There were all kinds. I remember getting like a tremor pack. There's also ones that were like combination tremor pack and like Game Shark. Like they did all kinds of things like back there.
Wow. Huh. That's cool.
Yeah. And then another thing that you can put in your one controller port is the transfer pack. And what this is mainly designed for was for Pokemon Stadium, so you can take your Pokemon that you've been working so hard in training on Pokemon Yellow, Blue, or Red and play them in Pokemon Stadium.
Oh.
Which was also amazing when I was little.
And then we also have this right here, which is a tilt. So this is a rumble and motion sensing pack.
And it's not the worst.
To your point, I mean, this is definitely early technology, right?
Yeah.
So nowadays, again, we take this for granted all the time in our iPhones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like it just does it.
Everything has tilt now.
Yeah, but this is pretty cool.
You know, the N64 is breaking boundaries. It's 3D. It's got
true.
4 controller ports.
That's right. I know. It and a ton of stuff to collect for it, which is cool, including colored controllers.
You think there's just systems? Oh no. Each of the systems, all the fantastic colors, also have matching controllers.
Now, I'm curious. So these, you said they match the controllers. Were there any controllers that didn't match, like the extra colors?
Well, there were like the standard ones. Like you have the non-see-through colors. So you have the gray, and that was also, you could do black, blue, red, yellow. So you had all the solid colors as well.
Oh, okay.
So you could have so many controllers.
Which I think you probably do.
Maybe. And then, on top of everything else, there's these crazy rare ones as well. Like, they have some ones that you can only get through Nintendo Power.
Oh, so these are official licensed...
Official rare controllers. Well, officially rare.
Sure.
Whatever.
But they're made by Nintendo.
Yes. So there's the Donkey Kong banana controller, and that comes with an adorable little banana jacket. Which the jacket is way harder to find than the controller. I've seen the controller numerous times. And that's more like, $100. I guess when I say super rare, on the 64 is normally not crazy amount of money.
Sure.
That's just how it is.
Yeah.
And then there's also the Millennium controller, and that was like a silver one. It's cool.
Wow.
And then, of course, there's also not just the Fantastic systems, but there's also the Gold system as well that comes with the gold matching controller. And, of course, the Pikachu.
Man, it's cool how Nintendo just went all out for that stuff. You know? I kind of miss that, not to get off topic, but they didn't do that at all with the Wii U. Like, no, those days are over.
They have, like, the Zelda one, but that's only the pad is different.
I know.
It's still a black Wii U, so.
I know. From a collecting standpoint, I love all these variations, and it's so much fun.
Me too.
I bet you do. So, and then here also I want to mention what is considered one of the best third-party controllers. This is the Hori controller. I think it's called a mini pad or something like that. But there were a lot of people who were not necessarily crazy about this or looking for some sort of alternative. This was released at near the end of the N64 life cycle. And it's designed really to look almost like a GameCube controller. I don't know if it was at the time, but I mean, it looks like it to me.
It does.
It does. And it addresses a lot of things that people didn't like about it. For one, it's more of a sort of normal controller that people are used to. And these are very collectible. So they're some of the rarest, more expensive controllers that you can get for the N64. Most people, though, feel like it's worth it. Like if you're going to jump in to do this, look for the Hori controllers. You're going to pay a little bit of money for them, but they're really well made and people love them.
Yeah, they're awesome.
They are.
And then, of course, there's also weird controllers, like, you know, the third party has all kinds of crap.
Oh, that's right.
You know,
you have a bunch of this stuff.
Yeah, there's like the racing wheel thing.
Which is cool for Ridge Racer.
Which is really cool. There's a fishing pole that has force feed pack. Like, and then, of course, a million variations on the 64 controller. From third party.
And that really weird PC, like official PC controller. It's like a flight stick.
Yeah, but it has the N64 logo on it.
I know. How cool is that?
As an N64 collector, I bought it.
Of course you did.
Yeah. And then...
what is this?
It also has... this is the microphone. It's called the VRU, which is the voice recognition unit. And this, in America, this was for Hey You Pikachu. Which is a rough game to play now if you've ever played it.
Oh, really? It doesn't hold up?
Well, so the VRU is designed to detect like children's voices. So for an adult, it's already probably not great even if you're a kid. But it doesn't do well. Like, I remember at one point I was playing this game and you're trying to help Bulbasaur make like soup. And you're like collecting the things. So all you have to do is tell Pikachu like cabbage, potato. And I was like, cabbage, 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 cabbage. Ah! Like, I just want to make this soup for Bulbasaur.
Oh my god.
But it's really cool, and I'm pretty sure it uses more games in Japan. But also the VRU is also region locked. You can't use the same one.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So this is actually a US one, and this is whatever. But yeah, just another weird, interesting thing that carried through sort of to the GameCube with the microphone, so.
That's right.
It's pretty cool.
Huh. All right, well, those are some awesome accessories, but you guys are gamers, and we are as well, so let's talk about some games. All right, so we have 10 games for you that we think you should pick up day one. These are all great games, really fun, and so what are you gonna start with here?
So this is kind of the first time we've seen Nintendo in 3D.
Yeah.
So, and their kind of like shtick for the 64 was, you know, 3D platformers.
Yeah, all these great franchises, but they were like, no, we have this powerful 3D hardware, we're gonna put all these games in 3D.
Yep. And one of them is actually one of the 2 launch games.
I know, so that's weird. They only had 2 launch games in North America.
Pilot Wing 64 and Mario 64.
Which is pretty damn impressive because when this game came out, so I was mostly a PC gamer, you still heard about this. This was groundbreaking for the time.
I absolutely loved this game. This was the first game I popped in while I was at Pilot Wing. So this was the first
you only had one of 2.
It's the first game I popped in, and my mind was completely blown. Yeah. Like when you first come in and you're just like in like the lawn with the castle right there.
And for the first time, it's like you can go anywhere. Kind of, it felt like you could do anything.
Yeah, it was kind of like open world before open world.
Right.
Because especially in that first castle area, I was like, whoa!
Especially in a Mario game.
Yeah.
You know.
It was amazing. And like this game is still, it's super iconic for the 64. I think you need it.
Yeah,
It's not crazy expensive. It's a wonderful Mario game. So I think this is definitely kind of a day one purchase if you're going to buy a 64.
I would agree. And also, too, it's designed perfectly for that controller. And I think that's why it did so well. Because, again, it really showed the power of the system and the programming and the controller.
Yes. And then also a 3D platformer, because that's what the 64 did oh so well, is actually my favorite. And that is Banjo-Kazooie.
Now, I love this. I'm going to tell you a little bit that we were doing a bunch of research for this video, and you were going to play a bunch of games. How far did you get into that?
So I was like, I'm going to play all the games so I can refresh my memory and whatever. And I pretty much stopped on this. Like, I started playing this, and I'm like, I'm just going to play a little bit.
Because you'd already played it, right?
I've already played it. And like, there went my night. I played this game. Best night ever.
Which is a testament to any game that is older, where you can pop it in today and just get lost in it again. I mean, that is, and also it's a Rare game, right? The company Rare.
Yeah.
And Rare went all out on the N64. That's where they shined the brightest, don't you think?
Oh, definitely.
They made so many iconic games for that system.
And I absolutely love this game, especially if you're a fan of Mario 64. You'll definitely love this. It's cute, it's silly, it's challenging, the levels get harder, and the levels are also very charming. It's very like all themed, kind of like the way they went with Conker's Bad Fur Day, only a different way.
Yeah, less adult.
You know, there's like, you know, the Gobi Desert level, there's an island level. It's absolutely wonderful, and I highly, highly recommend it. Fun collectibles.
I haven't played that one yet. I played Super Mario 64, but I haven't played that one.
Worth it.
I know, I need to.
And like Kazooie is such a smartass. She's so sassy. She's my favorite.
Awesome.
Who doesn't want a sassy bird in their backpack?
True.
Let's be real here. All right, and the 64 also had a lot of racing games.
Yes, and that is where I, as a collector, have just gone nuts. I mean, it's crazy how many great racing games were on the system. And so, in my collection, I was counting just now, I have over 25 of them just on this system alone, and that's because it did it so well. So, I'm not going to bore you with all 25 of those, but we have a couple here that I think you should own. And the first one is Beetle Adventure Racing. So this is an exclusive to the system. And at first, I think a lot of people pass this one up because they're like, I don't care about Volkswagens. I don't care about the Beetle.
It's very unassuming.
Yeah, but this is a fantastic racing game. You played it, right?
Yeah, I played the heck out of it.
I know. It's cool because it's just a really solid arcade racing game. It has fantastic levels, lots of really cool alternative routes. And it just really, the level design is really interesting. You're on the coast, you're in the forest, you're in the desert. Everything you'd want.
The handling is perfect.
Yep.
I just really like how this game feels.
Yep, absolutely. And then we also have
the other end of the spectrum, but also an arcade racer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer. Well, it doesn't say Pod Racer anyway. Everyone calls it Pod Racer.
Right. Now, this is based on the arcade game, or is the arcade game based on... do you know what came first, or did they all just come out at the same time, probably?
Sure. I love this in the arcade, but you can't take the arcade home with you, so what are you going to do? Play it on your N64.
Yeah. Fantastic version of this game. This is also, to be fair, it's also on the Dreamcast, which is a fantastic version too, but get it on the N64 because this is just as much fun. The sense of speed in this game, it's a Star Wars game at a time when there weren't a lot of good Star Wars games, or they were definitely hit and miss. The N64 had its share of really good ones, but this is one of my favorite too.
It's so good. And if you have that expansion pack we told you about, it looks even better.
Yep. Very true. You definitely need that.
All right.
And then here's a racing game I have not played, but a lot of people talk about.
So this is actually my favorite racing game on the system, and it is Diddy Kong Racing. And I know everyone's like, you know, hey, Mario Kart is kind of where it's at.
We went back and forth between this or Mario Kart,
but this game is so good. It has a super fun one-player adventure mode where you're like, you know, going through the different levels, and it's like kind of a big open world area that slowly kind of opens up as you know, open up more levels. And like Mario Kart really just had like the Grand Prix. I mean, it was really great, don't get me wrong. But
and in this one, you change different vehicles, right?
Yep. Kind of depending on the course, or once you unlock it, you can just choose any one, because there might be balloons you can only get as a plane in some levels. So this has the car, the plane, and the hovercraft. And the hovercraft can be a little bit squirrely, but worth it. But there's just something about this game, and you can actually play 2 players with computer characters.
This reminds me of a newer game, Sonic All-Star Racing Transformed. Have you played that?
Which is also really fun.
I love that game, but here it is decades before.
And this is also where my love of Conker started.
Oh.
Because he's in here, but this is in his more innocent days, let's say.
A little more PG.
Yeah, I remember when Conker's Bad Fur Day came out, and I was like, Mom, I want that! And she's like, why is it rated M? I'm like, I don't know, he's so nice.
He's a squirrel!
He's so cute! Alright, and then, with racing games, the N64 was great for couch co-op. And I'm pretty sure nothing is as infamous as Super Smash Brothers.
We knew people would destroy us in the comments if we did not mention this game.
Yep.
And this is a game that people today, they'll basically buy, hey, I want the system, 4 controllers, and this game.
Yep. And this game is super fun. And I know, I'm not a huge fighting game person. I know it's the big scene, the tournaments, all the how to do, it's a thing. And so most people prefer Melee. But this is the first Smash Brothers I played, and I love it. I feel like it doesn't have some of the, crazy, more gimmicky, people probably gonna hate that word, of the
Some people might call it nuanced, but you know.
Of the newer Smash Brothers games. But this is awesome. It's just, 4 players battling it out, cool weapons, cool level design. It was all new, and if you remember, the TV commercial for this game was also awesome. We hadn't really seen anything like this before, and it was all your favorite characters.
That is so cool. And a game that is going up in price. So just be aware, this is one of the more expensive collectible games. And it's not rare, but I think people always buy it. They hold on to it. And so just be aware, you might pay a little bit for it.
Just go in on it with 4 friends.
Ah, there you go.
Make sure they're real friends. And then, of course, another multiplayer game. There was 3 of these on the system, but it's Mario Party. We mentioned this game earlier when we talked about destroying your controllers. But so this is Mario Party 2. This is actually my favorite on the 64. It has all the wonderfulness of Mario Party 1, but they wear cute little outfits. Completely worth it.
I love how that's your selling point.
There's a little haunted house level and they wear witch hats. What? What more do you need? But just, I've always loved the Mario Party games, and especially when they first started coming out, this was all new. Again, just like Smash Brothers.
Right.
So, now we think of Mario Party today, we're like, oh, well, there's 9 of them, But this was all new, and it was so fun.
That's a good point. It's that Nintendo launched a ton of franchises on the N64. A lot of them, or maybe not even launched them, but they basically redefined a lot of the franchises,
Yeah. And when the first one came out, I was like, wait, what is this, a board game? What's that, what?
Yeah.
And then I started playing it, and I was like, this is the best! I'm pretty sure there's a lot of nights where, me and my little brother is staying up late playing Mario Party. Some good nights.
That's awesome.
All right, and then one that I know everyone is assuming we're gonna mention, so we're just gonna mention it. But it's also, I think, it's in my top, 5 favorite games of all time.
Right.
And that is the Ocarina of Time. It's so wonderful. And
it's considered a classic for many reasons. A lot of people consider this to be one of their favorite games. It's the favorite game of all time. It was iconic. A little story here is that I remember at the time, again, being a PC gamer because I was working at Sierra, right? Go over to my mom's house. She had an N64. What game did she have? That one. And she loved it. And she played it. And oh my God. And I got sucked into it too because I was really impressed. It was like this really deep 3D adventure. It was awesome.
And at the time, I remember being like, oh, it looks so real. Looking back, whatever. But that's how it was. It was 3D. It was this huge adventure. I felt like I could identify with it. There's just something about this game that was so magical. And it's also a wonderful Zelda game. It follows a lot of the same tropes, same sort of storylines a lot of the other ones do. So even if you loved Link to the Past, there's a lot of things that show up in Ocarina of Time that you loved. So perfect.
That's cool. And then what is this right here?
This is the Japanese box art of Ocarina of Time. And so, as a collector, I like getting both regions of my more favorite games.
Which is cool because these are often very different from the US versions. And often, I hate to say it, but they're better sometimes.
Yeah, they're usually pretty awesome.
Now, this might actually be a good time to mention this little thing right here. So what is this for?
This is an adapter so you can play Japanese games on your US system.
That's right. So the N64, its region locking is physical, kind of like the Super Nintendo. But the thing about the N64 is that you can't really take a pair of pliers and easily sort of break it off.
Yeah, it's like a bigger piece of plastic.
Yeah, so that's what this is used for right here. So for instance, I have a copy of F-Zero X, which is the Japanese version. This plays it just fine.
Yeah.
So good to know.
And that's also, you can tell the difference between Japanese and US carts if it's all in English on the front, just where the pegs are in the back.
That's true.
And then, of course, with Ocarina of Time, there's also Majora's Mask, which is also iconic and people love it. I really like Ocarina of Time, so...
Yeah. So this is a really cool cartridge here. So it has a lenticular label right here, which is awesome, that sort of 3D look. It's hard to tell on the camera, but in person it looks beautiful. And this is a gold cart. So it's something worth mentioning that there were different colored carts on the system.
Yeah, so there's like gold, there's of course a standard gray, there's Donkey Kong 64 is yellow, Rayman is green. So there's a couple of them. Like,
there's a blue one.
There's blue, there's red, there's black. So there's a couple other ones too, and then like some games came out both ways, like Ocarina of Time. You can get it in gray or the more sought after gold. Yeah,
exactly. So sometimes if it seems more expensive than you expect, like Ocarina of Time, that could be the reason why. Yeah. Cool, and then more games.
More games.
I know, so many awesome ones.
All right, and next up, it wasn't our hidden gems.
You're right.
But I felt like we had to mention it because this game is so unique and so treasure. Like, it's just so amazing.
It is.
And this is Mischief Makers. And
so it's exclusive to the N64.
And there's just something about this way this game plays. It's beautiful. The storyline's really cool. You play as Marina, and of course it has the classic shake, shake, shake.
Oh yeah.
Which like I will never forget. I rented this game once when I was little, and I was like, that is ingrained in my brain for the rest of my life. But it's so good. I don't think I can stress how good it is. Mainly because it's not, you know, like a 3D platformer. It's not a racing game. It's one of those like very unique games.
It is. It's
2D.
True. And also, to be fair, the controls in this game are a little funky. A lot of treasure games are a little bit odd like that. So give it some time. It's worth it because once you get the hang of it after about 5-10 minutes, it's totally worth it.
Yep.
And also to the point, a lot, you know, it was so easy for us in this video to just pick the obvious top 10, top 20 games, whatever. And so this is a fun one to add.
Yeah, agreed. And it's so good. All right, and the last pick, we actually went back and forth on if it was going to be in here.
Yeah. Now we have honorable mentions, so
yeah,
you know.
don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Don't start writing that comment quite yet. So next up is Pokemon Snap.
This game keeps showing up in lists.
It's it's so fun.
I know.
I loved it when I was little. I mean, a lot of people are like, well, you just take pictures of Pokemon. Think of it as a rail shooter.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially what it is.
Yeah.
But you get to keep whatever you shot as a picture.
And there are people who play this every year, every couple of years. I mean, it's just one of those games where I think you get sucked back into it. I love rail shooters as well. And they're fun because, again, you just kind of, I don't know, it just auto does it for you and it's just challenging enough.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It has lots of like fun little secrets. I just remember when this game came out, and it was during like the big like Pokemon hype. So I'd already fallen in love with Pokemon through the Game Boy, and then this came out, and it was just something completely new. It's not an adventure game, really.
Yeah.
I guess you're going on a photo adventure. And when I was little, you could go and plug this in at Blockbuster and you can get your stickers printed.
Oh, that's right.
So it's a really awesome, just like crazy nostalgia burst whenever I see this game or play it.
All right, so that is our sort of 10 picks for day one purchases. But the N64 is so fun to collect for. There's so many games. And I know many of you are screaming out there because, well, we didn't talk about GoldenEye or Perfect Dark. And a couple other games that we do want to have as honorable mentions here at the end. So let's show some of those.
So that was our buying guide for the Nintendo 64, and we also did a series of hidden gems videos for the N64, and we'll link that in the corner.
That's right, and we'd love to know down in the comments what games you would recommend to new N64 collectors. Please post a comment down below. Where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Kinzilla, Kinszilla, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and even YouTube.
That's right. Check out her channel. All right, guys, thanks very much for watching this video. Thanks for subscribing, and take care. As we mentioned in the video, Kinsey and I have done a series of N64 Hidden Gems videos. So those are perfect for the collector that is looking to go a little bit deeper into the catalog and find some of those games that not everybody is talking about. Also, you're gonna wanna be subscribed to my channel because I release 2 new videos every single week. Yeah, I guess that's it. Oh, wait. What's this? Are we not done? You know, a great honorable mention is Star Soldier. This is a game that only came out.
Shoot. We should have really talked more about Conquer.
Shooter.